we're setting the stage, our next speaker pretty much needs no introduction because most of his talk is actually about introducing himself and his story. But when I think back to our first trauma conference about 3.5, almost 4 years ago, it was lots of doctors, lots of nurses, all about the front end. That's what was sexy at the time, and that was what the sort of the audience wanted. And very rapidly we realised the most important thing in the trauma agenda is actually delivering people back into the community and getting back on with their lives. So at our last conference we had a patient speaker, and you could actually hear a pin drop in the room when we had that speaker, and it was amazing. And it actually gives me absolute pleasure to invite Kevin Dwyer to come and talk about his story. His story is in hard copy on the website, it's in your delegate holders. I'm sure he will give us a much more interesting and personal reflection on that, and I hope very much he'll take some questions on things at the end of it. So this really is an interactive session to really work out why we do what we do in this era. So thank you, Kevin.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Kelvin, for leaving me so much to live up to. Life can change in an instant, and if it does, for whatever reason, I believe it's absolutely critical that you remember what your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Napoleon Hill. On the 5th of May 2013, my life changed beyond recognition forever. Please indulge me. Allow me to take you down memory lane. Myelopathy syncope. For those who are familiar, I don't need to give you any further instruction about what that is. For those that are unfamiliar, firstly, ladies, you needn't be worried, only men can suffer from it. Gentlemen, pay close attention. In layman's terms, your blood pressure plummets, you get very lightheaded. But the unfortunate problem is, this all happens while you're taking a pee. I took a couple of steps out of the bathroom, then it went dark. I blacked out. I fell awkwardly, with my torso landing on a box. This caused me to hyperextend my neck. I was out for maybe 4 or 5 seconds. When I came to, I had no feeling in either hand. From the waist down, I was completely paralysed. The fall had caused me to suffer a spinal cord injury. Swelling and bruising on my spinal cord, level C4, C5 incomplete. I was taken to St George's Hospital, and I'm sure you can appreciate I didn't sleep a wink that night. Instead, what I chose to do, choose being the operative word, I adopted a 3-step process that I personally believe was the catalyst to my ongoing recovery. Step 1 is to improve. The mind can't distinguish between imagination and reality. So, if you can visualise something in enough detail, you can actually trick your mind into believing it is reality. So on that first night, I consistently, over and over and over again, just visualise myself walking. Step 2, make a decision with positive intent. I decided I've already made a full recovery, I'm just waiting for my body to catch up. And step 3, be prepared to take massive action. From that point onwards, whatever I could do to aid and facilitate my recovery, I commit to doing 100%. 100%. The first few days of my recovery, in my opinion, seemed very slow. I regained feeling in my hands, but until the medication kicked in, I was in excruciating pain. My hands had become hypersensitive. So every single touch, even the sheets brushing against my hands, felt like pins being stabbed into my hands. For the first 2 weeks, I was completely bent down. The nurses would come to have to turn me every couple of hours. At that point, my tablet consumption was so high, as though rolling on through to give my stomach rally. For me, that didn't affect my spirit. I was still in high spirits on a daily basis, and I felt as though my spirit was getting higher and higher, climbing each day. But I had another test to enjoy. As I said, I was told I had swelling and bruising on my spinal cord, and I've got a very, very logical thought process. 2 occupational therapists came to have a discussion with me about my impending admission to the spinal unit. So I said, okay, surely, if I've got swelling and bruising on my spinal cord, when that goes down, I'll be absolutely fine. I'll be recovered again. As politely and as gently as they could, they corrected me. That's not actually the case. When the swelling and bruising goes down, it's only at that point can we determine if there's any permanent damage to the spinal cord. That information is like a load of soap patches. If I was the boxer, that would have winded me, down on my knee. And I was down, temporarily, certainly not. Once again, I chose my response, and that was to come out and fight me. My resolve was stronger than ever before. I decided that wasn't going to stop me. After about 3 weeks, a couple of nurses came into my room, chucked in a room between themselves. Shall we tell him? Do you think he deserves to know? Shall we tell him? Come on, nurses, you can't come into my room laughing and joking, not sharing the joke. So one of them turned and asked me, have you noticed you get a steady stream of nurses in the room on a daily basis? I said, yeah, that's because you guys do a fantastic job looking after me. My ego was there, sat on my shoulder. That's not the reason. You know it's because you've got dashing good looks, which you repartee. They soon put my ego back in the box. Apparently that wasn't the reason. I was described as somewhat of an enigma, a rare notion. They'd had conversations amongst themselves and decided that if they were having a bad day, they'd come into my room and talk to me, because apparently my positivity, the way I was approaching my injury, made them feel better. My response at that point was, and I'm the paralysed patient, you guys are lucky I'm not charging you. I spent 5 weeks in St George's, and because of the severity of my injury and the trauma I underwent, I saw clinical psychologists on a weekly basis. Now, for me, those sessions were complete breath of fresh air. That 1 hour allowed me to just open up completely and explain why I was so positive, why I was so driven to recover. Anyway, once I'd been discharged from St George's, I went to Stoke Mandeville Spinal Unit, and I'm not going to give you any Jimmy Savile jokes. I spent 10 weeks in Stoke Mandeville, a nationally revered facility, where I underwent intensive physiotherapy and rehabilitation. Now, it's all good and well, having a great facility and a wonderful team of people around you, but in my opinion, it's about taking ownership of the mind and being prepared to put massive action. That's what's going to assist in recovery. Whilst in Stoke Mandeville, I know you should and can't really ever compare two injuries, but I met a gentleman and he had suffered 3 fractures. His accident left him with a swelling and bruising on his spinal cord, just like me, and his level of injury was C4, C5 incomplete, just like mine. When I met him, I'd been injured for approximately 10 weeks, and I could walk using 2 crutches, albeit very, very slowly. He'd been injured for 18 months and still had absolutely no use of his hands and minimum use of his legs. He couldn't stand, let alone walk. Now, in my humble opinion, there was one clear, distinct, and quite obvious fundamental difference. He kind of accepted his spinal cord injury. As far as he was concerned, that was pretty much his lot. That's how his life was going to play out. I, on the other hand, I was on a journey, and giving up has never and will never be an option. Once discharged from Stoke Mandeville, I periodically had to go back to St George's for some follow-up sessions with my clinical psychologist, and we had a number of deep, meaningful conversations. And it's in one of those conversations she actually confessed to me. In the early days, Kevin, I thought 2 things. 1, you were clearly in denial. And 2, you were possibly a candidate for a breakdown. I was quite surprised when she said that. but then she stated that after 4-5 sessions, she realised that that's kind of just the essence of who I was. And she understood why I adopted that vehement mental approach to get through my recovery. And kind of patted me on the back for it, which I definitely appreciate. Now, I certainly believe you can take the same 3-step approach I used to kickstart my recovery into any major event. As I said, one, just visualise your desired outcome in as much detail as possible, only focusing on the end result. 2, make a decision with positive intent. And 3, be prepared to take massive action. It really is that simple. Now, my journey, it's been arduous, it's been tiring. I still have definitely got a long way to go. I consistently, almost on a daily basis, tell people, it's your mind that gives your body instructions, it's not the other way around. That passion, that belief that I'm going to continue to move forward, that allows me to live my daily mantra, which is all can we achieve, one step at a time. Because, as I stated at the beginning, what the mind can conceive and believe, the body can achieve. Thank you.
Fantastic, very inspiring talk, I think. And I was education talkers who come to these conferences, we've learned just remind us to why we do what we do every day and never cease to amaze and inspire. I hope very much we've got lots of questions. We've got some roving mics. Apparently without the mics you can't hear the questions at that, so please feel free to get some questions in and ask them. Who's got me into a phone? Can I ask you a question?
Sir.
I know you've got your brother here who's in photographs because you're the good-looking one and he's got the photographic.
More clearly.
How was your family? You overcame your attitude, clearly told us, but how did your attitude reflect in them? Were they equally as positive? Were they, maybe I should ask your brother actually, were they going home and having different thoughts? Or what's...
In the initial stages, my family were very concerned, and like my psychologists, they thought that I was potentially in denial, that I wasn't accepting it. But anyone that knows me knows that I don't believe in whether the glass is half full or half empty. My glass is always been overflowing. So to have a positive action was never something new. So they kind of expected it from me. In actual fact, prior to my injury, I was an avid gym goer, and I was quite obsessive about my rippling six-pack. As the injury onset happened, the first 2 weeks, because I was bedridden, I lost about 1.5 stone in muscle mass, and as the muscle disappeared, this thing started to appear in front of me, this stomach started to grow. I've got 3 children, 2 being teenage boys, teenage being the operative word, and they took almost delight, they relished in the fact that they could poke fun at my stomach. Comments such as, Dad, pull your t-shirt down. Dad, pull your cover up. No one wants to see that done. So I think just the fact that they were making those sort of comments was testament to, it was clear to them. Although I was physically in a completely different place, I was still there. I hope that's the question.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience. And what comes across very obviously is your positivity. And when you mentioned the other chap that you met at Stoke Mandeville, and a very different attitude that he had, what do you attribute your positivity to?
Life isn't about existing, life is about living. And I've always believed that I can do and be and achieve whatever I want. I'm going to give him a lot of credit. When I was young, my brother always used to instill belief in me, instill confidence, and I think I've carried that through. But I wouldn't say I'm a religious person, but I am very spiritual. And I believe that we can do whatever we want. Our minds are an incredible thing. You guys are, from a medical professional standpoint, and sometimes very clinical. But I think if you look beyond that and fully understand how powerful the mind is, there's absolutely no reason to be negative. Everything happens for a reason. As crazy as that sounds, this has happened to me for an eye-opening experience. I've been in sales for a number of years. That's probably one of the reasons I'm so shy and I don't like speaking in front of audiences. But this journey has made me realise that I'm now going to change career path. I'm on the direction of getting into professional speaking, simply because if my journey can inspire and touch just a couple, my job's been done. That's the reason why positivity.
Thank you.
Other questions? Lady in the back, yes. Have you got a strong voice or do you need the mic?
I'll try and speak.
Do you know what? As I said, I've got 3 teenage children, or an older than teenage. I've got incredible selective hearing. Better off using the mic.
Very inspiring story. Can I ask, do you think you can change your attitude? So is there things that we can do to help patients improve their attitude or change their attitude? Or do you think it's part of your makeup?
I don't think there's anything anyone can do to change my attitude. My attitude's always been this way. From quite a different standpoint, I came across a number of patients in Stoke Mandeville that some were very down because, from a clinical point, and I know you guys can't give too much hope because then you open yourself to lawsuits and he said I'd do this and he said I'd do that. But sometimes maybe not dashing people's hopes as much, because I think in the early stages especially, that really crushes people. So I think sometimes just injecting a little bit of hope and helping people understand how incredible your minds are in that. As the great Henry Ford said, if you believe you can or you can't, either way you're right. So it's just plug in that positivity. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Kevin? Lady.
Are you going to write a book?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You'll sell more than you said, you have to promise.
One of the members of my family suggested after probably about 2 weeks, you need to be writing a diary on a daily basis. And although I haven't diarised for a while, I've got the first maybe 2 or 3 months in specific detail. And my journey is still continuing. And don't get me wrong, I'm only human, so I won't say I have down days. I have down moments, very fleeting and very occasionally. And because I've enjoyed so much, I'm not afraid to just completely have a meltdown and cry. And once that's happened, I think everything flushes out and I'm back to myself again. But yeah, I'm definitely not writing. That is absolutely high on the agenda. Any other questions? Sorry?
Have you been able to get back to the gym?
In the initial stages of my injury, I was in the gym 3 or 4 times a week. And up until probably just before Christmas, I was still in the gym. Now, at the moment, and I'm very careful about the words I choose, I've pretty much eradicated most negative language from my vocabulary. My body at the moment is being less comfortable. I've developed bursitis, and I'm sure I don't need to explain to you guys, but because my tendons are so tight, they've caused inflammation on my versus swollen up a bit. My steps are pretty painful at the moment, so I'm not in the gym as frequently, but I have started doing Pilates again, and I'm actually going to Pilates this evening. I don't do free weights anymore, so I can only do machine weight, because picking up any weights puts a lot of strain on my hamstrings, but the gym is something that's it's part of my life that will never change.
Any other questions for Kevin? That was fabulous. Like I say, it reminds us all what we do, and I'm so grateful for you doing that.
Thank you.